Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Chapter 71. When Jason decides to do something. There are very few people in Gotham City who can stop him. Especially when he wants to find traces of a person. The ability of Skynet artificial intelligence is like a ghost on the internet. As long as you have used the internet, it is impossible to escape his search. Not to mention that Two-Face is a very low-key person. Thanks to the clear governance of Gotham City. The police are basically useless. The gangs in Gotham City are quite rampant. Most of it is on the surface. Even cooperating with the police is a very normal thing. Two-Face's base was quickly detected by Skynet. This is an abandoned factory in a slum. Because it is far away from the city and close to the pier. He was treated as his own factory by the two-faced man. Produce some contraband. The defense is very tight, and 40% of the entire gang's defense force is used here. Definitely, that's for Jason. It is simply in name only. Skynet, prepare the armor and load it with non-lethal weapons. When the time comes, give them a shot of saturated anesthetic gas to cover them. Jason chuckled. Wasn't he the one who was captured? It's so simple. Hundreds of rounds of ether diffusion bombs were fired into it, and the elephant was stunned. It's definitely possible that some unlucky guy breathed in an overdose of anesthetic gas and died. But what does this have to do with him? Are there any good people among these gangsters? Moreover, he's not like Bruce Wayne. He is not a messenger of justice. Also, Skynet, prepare anesthetic injections. Prevent these people from having gas masks on them. Jason patted his head and said suddenly. This is a double-faced factory. It is also very normal to prepare some gas masks inside. Although it would not pose any fatal threat to him. But in the final analysis it is troublesome. It would be safer to bring some narcotic weapons. Soon, it was evening. In order to avoid exposing one's own strength, he scheduled his move at night. Avoid the risk of being seen by ordinary people. It's time. Jason started directly from his own laboratory. Soon we arrived at Double Face's factory. Skynet, is the target still there? Master, the target is still there and has not left. According to the surveillance, the other party seems to be carrying out unknown criminal activities. Skynet's voice sounded next to Jason. Jason was not surprised at all. Anyway, the two-faced person is either committing a crime or on the way to commit a crime. Morgana committed a criminal activity, what's so strange about it? Now that we have determined that the target is internal, let's start taking action. Let some armors sneak in secretly and release ether gas. With emphasis, Jason asked Skynet to take action. Then the armor behind Jason. He began to act quietly. The propellers under his feet became silent. And it doesn't emit any light. Soon, colorless ether gas is dispersed throughout the factory. Lots of alert gangsters. He fainted immediately. Jason wore the armor directly. He walked into the factory openly. See if Two-Face is stunned. Swaggering into huge amounts of steel and tile factory buildings. Jason didn't have time to speak. The headlights of the factory are turned on directly. Ba bang bang. Applause rang out from the second-story steel structure of the steel factory. Jason looked up. Two-Face appears above. To be honest, if it weren't for half of his face being disfigured, Two-Face would still look very handsome. Just a pity. Today's two-faced man has half his face dissolved directly by sulfuric acid. Making him look like a Terminator with half of his face exposed from the metal structure. However, what makes Jason strange is, he was not knocked out by the ether. How strange. You are supposed to be the legendary illegitimate son of Bruce Wayne. A man in steel armor. As soon as Two-Face saw Jason, he spoke directly. Although it was a question, his tone was very calm. It seems that this result is very certain. When Jason heard this, his heart changed. How does this bastard know his identity? Although he often goes out wearing battle armor. But the action is very secretive. The surrounding surveillance systems were also destroyed by Skynet. No one should know his identity. This is how the same thing. What are you talking about? I don't understand. I'm Iron Man, Jason said directly with nonsense. Although Two-Face looks very certain. But he can't admit it. He's not like that idiot Tony Stark. The desire to perform is so strong. Making a fortune in silence is what he wants. Hear Jason say that. Two-Face smiled mockingly. You playboys, do you all like to pretend to be superheroes? So does Tony Stark in New York. It seems like he is the Iron Man. Two-Face said with a mocking look. Jason didn't answer his words. Asked instead, compared to who I really am. Why you can remain calm is what I'm curious about. Quote. Don't you know that we never fight alone? With that said, Jason waved his hand. More than 20 pieces of armor appeared behind him. This kind of combat power is enough to attack a small country. It's more than enough. Jason brings so many armors. It's just a subconscious preparation. God knows if these gang members have any genetically mutated monsters. You can never go too far wrong. However, Two-Face didn't seem surprised by this. Instead, he said with some sigh. As expected of someone from Wayne Group. The price of these armors is probably billions of dollars, right? Two-Face said this. Jason's heart moved again. Why does this two-faced man seem to know his information very well? This shouldn't happen at all. Who leaked his information? Jason became increasingly curious about Two-Face. He wanted to know who leaked his information. Immediately, he was too lazy to talk nonsense with Two-Face. Just wave your hand and get ready to take action. 20 pieces of good armor came forward quickly. But, just halfway through the flight, suddenly a burst of electric current appeared inside these armors, and then they struggled a few times. It fell to the ground. Young man, you are really far from your father. He is not as impatient as you, 11. As he said that, the two-faced man waved his hand. Dozens of them armed men in gas masks stepped out of the shadows. Not like a gangster at all. Instead, he looks like a professional soldier. Jason's eyes narrowed. I felt the condition of the armor on my body. Graphite dust bombs. I never thought you could get something like this. Jason felt a little surprised. Graphite dust bombs are not something that is easy to obtain. Can be used with military-grade graphite dust. The price is very expensive. Not to mention making it into a weapon. Where did Two-Face get this thing? Jason suddenly became more interested in Two-Face. Chapter 72. The iron armor is a very powerful creation. It is the crystallization of the highest level of engineering. This does not mean that the steel armor does not have shortcomings. Unless it's late. It's like asking you Stark to research nano armors. Otherwise, the steel armor is a complex engineering machinery. Any construction machinery. There must be circuits inside. The energy consumption of steel armor is very serious. Electronic equipment loaded with various energy weapons. The internal circuit is very complex. Graphite dust bomb is a weapon specifically designed for this kind of equipment. Graphite is a conductor. The graphite particles that are ground into particles will adhere to the circuits of electronic equipment. When electric current is running, short circuits will occur in electronic equipment. This goes for any electronic device. All are unacceptable. The electronic precision electronic components inside the steel armor. Completely scrapped after short circuit. This is also the reason why all those steel armors were scrapped. Thinking about it, this is what makes Two-Face so calm. Otherwise, Two-Face will not act like a fool. Dare to face this highly maneuverable weapon of destruction. Seeing Jason, he stopped moving. Two-Face spoke again. Ha, Jason Wayne, 997. You know nothing about me, but I know you very well. What are you using to fight me? Jason laughed when he heard this. Say it as if these are your things. If there is no support behind the two-faced person. He twisted the head off to use as a urinal. Mr. Harvey Dent, you feel too good about yourself. In the entire Bald Eagle Empire, there are less than 10 arms dealers that can produce graphite dust bombs. Each military-grade graphite dust bomb has a market price of $3 million. Not to mention this kind of dust weapon arranged in advance. It's not enough for the whole space, at least 4 or 5 pieces are needed. It's not that I look down on you, Mr. Harvey Dent. Do you have that much money? Although Jason's tone was very calm. But the irony in it is obvious to everyone. Obviously. There are things you can learn from being friends with Tony Stark. At least, this taunting ability is maxed out. Harvey Dent over there turned red when he heard this. The ruined face on the other side was full of ferocity. Jason is right about one thing. He really couldn't afford that much money. It's not really impossible to get it out. I want to take out so much money. I'm afraid he has to sell all his assets. He's not crazy. How could this be done? But, knowing is one thing. It's another thing to be told. You are really as annoying as Bruce Wayne. The smell of hypocrisy is disgusting. Jason pouted again. Mr. Harvey, it's not your fault that you are ugly, but it is your fault that you come out to scare people. I have reason to suspect that you are jealous of the good looks of our Wayne family. When Two-Face heard this, he became even more angry. Since the disfigurement, what he hates is what others say about his appearance. A sharp-tongued boy. Originally, I wanted God to decide your life or death. But now it's time for me to make up my mind. I'm going to make your life worse than death. Two-Face's tone was very spiteful. It was hard for Jason to imagine. How did this person become the Light Knight of Gotham City? Could it be that the brighter a person is, the more ruthless Blacken will be? The thoughts in his mind did not block Jason's counterattack at all. Harvey Dent, you are ugly, but I think you are beautiful. Believe it or not, I'll beat the shit out of you today. When Two-Face heard this, his expression suddenly changed. Boy, if you're not curious, why am I talking so much nonsense to you? I'll tell you the answer now. I'm just stalling for time. 17. You have wings and can't escape. Jason pouted. I really don't know where Two-Face's self-confidence comes from. Can't he see that, CFBH, Two-Face is stalling for time? A breakdown of Gotham City's villains. The one who liked BB the most at the beginning was Joker. Because he likes to confuse people. On the contrary, Two-Face is the kind of person who can take action and try not to be pushy. He just likes to flip coins and maintain his neurotic personality. And being a villain who likes to take action. Suddenly I'm talking to you. There are only two reasons for that. One is because he can't beat you. The second is because he is stalling for time. However, what is coming is very disturbing. Is this your trump card? Feel the vague pressure coming from your body. Jason's face was full of disappointment. Strong magnetic restraint device. If he were the Jason he was a few days ago, maybe it will really fail. The armor loses its effect. In addition, a strong magnetic restraint device can generate several tons of force in an instant. He couldn't change hands at all. Because of magnetism, the steel factory building next to it has to be shapeshifted. Two-Face didn't take Jason's statement seriously at all. You can't move now, can you? Jason Wayne. Bluffing won't do anything. You will die today, Harvey Dent said viciously. Mr. Harvey, that's not what our agreement says. Two-Face just got mad. A young voice came from beside him. A blonde young man in a suit appeared next to him. This young man wears a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. He looks more elegant than him, like a young master from a big family. Behind him were two heavily armed soldiers. It can be said to be full of style. Jason was immediately interested. Coming. The mastermind behind the scenes appears. This is my place. Harvey Dent also showed his fangs. As he said that, a group of gangsters rushed out from outside. Although it seems that these gangsters have a variety of equipment, there is no way to compare with those fully armed soldiers. But there are so many of them. Each person has an AK, which is more than 100 guns. Not to mention, this seemingly ragtag group of guys also had several song RPGs. I don't know what the police in Gotham City do. Wow, Mr. Harvey, we at AIM are sincerely cooperating with you. It's so sad that you're like this. The young man said with a sad expression on his face. Makes it look very cool. Cooperation. You just want to use me. Just in time, I want to take advantage of you too. Jason Wayne must die. The equipment you are wearing is also mine. A trace of greed flashed in Two-Face's eyes. Playing good old Jason down there. I felt like sow in my heart. It's like watching an annual drama. The appearance of AIM surprised him. Two-Face surprised him even more. This guy actually wants to take advantage of both families. It's a good idea. But do you have the strength? Chapter 73. The appearance of AIM, an old friend, was a bit beyond Jason's expectation. He thought about who was behind Two-Face. But I didn't expect it. These people turned out to be people from AIM. Think about it too. AIM is one of the few people who might know his identity. Anything can happen during a fight. It's not impossible to reveal your identity. Just didn't expect it. The people from AIM dared to chase him all the way to Gotham. He also contacted the local gang. But, I guess the people at AIM haven't thought about it either. The psychopath Two-Face is more greedy than they imagined. I still want to take advantage of others. Jason is therefore seen as non-threatening. Don't put them aside. People from the two families started to fight. Two-Face believes that his more than 100 gangsters are very intimidating. More than 100 fully automatic rifles. Coupled with RPG, it is enough to fight a small local war. It is also very normal for two-faced people to be confident. However, the people at AIM are also very calm. There are obviously other trump cards. Mr. Harvey, do you really want to do this? This is very damaging to our friendship. Even to this point, the young man from AIM still looks very calm. I don't know what trump cards there are. Stop being pretentious. My men have investigated and there is no one else around here. The two-faced man said with a very disgusted expression. Hand over your equipment obediently. I might be able to keep your bodies intact. The two-faced man looked at the person opposite, his eyes full of greed. It seems that he has been planning for AIM's sophisticated equipment for a long time. This excellent military special equipment. But there is a price but no market. It's not something you can get with money. Gangsters like Two-Face want to get this thing. Totally impossible. He is naturally very greedy about this. So are Two-Face's men. Looking at these people's equipment, their eyes lit up. It's like seeing a fat wolf. The whole group of people became excited. In an instant, whistles, shouts, and the sound of guns being loaded filled the factory building one after another. The young man from AIM had pity in his eyes. What a pathetic person. Never know what true power is. Don't you know that numbers are meaningless in the face of absolute combat power? He finished. Suddenly there was a thumping sound from above the factory building. It was as if something heavy fell from the sky. Suddenly all the gangsters aimed their guns at the factory. Two-Face also pulled out his pistol and pointed it at the young man opposite. A ferocious smile flashed across his face. You'd better not act rashly. The young man at AIM smiled. He straightened the tie on his suit. It's really sad. The words have not yet finished. The young man turned into a black shadow. Two-Face hasn't reacted yet. Just flew up out of thin air. It hit the factory building next to it. It knocked a huge amount of dent into the iron sheet. Of course Jason can see clearly. The young man rushed out quickly. Kicked Two-Face. Because the speed is too fast. Two-Face didn't react at all and was knocked out. Only at this time did the two-faced people react. While shouting and cursing uniquely to gangsters. While holding the crazy design of the AK in his hand. That posture was like that of the black uncles in a certain area. Not very good at marksmanship. The momentum is very strong. But soon, they screamed. It was a guy wearing a black body armor that fell from the sky. Go on a killing spree among gangsters. Those gangsters basically lost their fighting ability after just one punch. And because of being in the crowd. The gangsters outside didn't dare to shoot. After a while, he was beaten to pieces by these men in black. Many people started to run out. Jason sighed a little. He naturally recognized what these people were. It is AIM's centipede warrior. What he didn't expect was he, Tony Stark, and the people from S.H.I.E.L.D. destroyed so many bases. The AIM people can actually produce so many centipede warriors. Even raising funds to deal with him. Sure enough, the centipede was dead but not stiff. Various secret organizations in this world. It's really annoying. A dozen modified centipede warriors. The strength is very powerful. 100 gang members. In front of a centipede warrior, it was like chopping melons and vegetables. They were all beaten to pieces. Several centipede warriors rushed out. Jason could still hear the screams coming from outside. Saw took control of the situation. The blonde young man from AIM straightened his tie. Walk up to Jason, he said with a salute. Selden Gordon, Director of AIM Weapons Research and Development Department. I'm really sorry to meet in such an unreasonable way. Mr. Jason laughed. Jason carefully looked at the gentle scum in front of him. He asked, pretending to be hoarse. What is your purpose? Oh, I didn't expect Mr. Jason to be so straightforward. Then I don't want to show off. I would like to invite Mr. Jason to join our AIM Weapons Research and Development Department. You're such a genius. Your transformation of technology is also an art. Before you, I never thought that weapons could be so beautiful. Selden Dawson looked at the centipede warrior next to him. A trace of intoxication flashed across his face. Jason looked at it and cursed inwardly. 0.0. Another psychopath. Why is there so much perversion in this world? Still beautiful. It doesn't matter if she's a girl, she's 19 tall and muscular. How do you see beauty? After cursing a few words in his mind, Jason spoke again. You planted a spy in our Wayne group. Thinking of this, Kunsen was a little annoyed. He is still young. I didn't think about it at all. The confidentiality of various technologies is very inadequate. It is also very normal for technology to be stolen. There are 500 people in the Wayne Group headquarters alone. The Wayne family is relatively low-key. But to take care of Wayne Manor, there are nearly 200 people of various kinds inside. Not to mention, he had just expanded his biology laboratory. There are also 200 to 300 people. In a country where commercial espionage is normalized, some of the spies are just too normal. Not to mention, AIM is a large organization. If you don't send a few spies. Jason thought their leader was an idiot. Thinking of this, Jason became even more annoyed. Whether it is the past life or the present, he has no experience in this area. I didn't expect that I had been unaware of it all this time, and that I would actually fall into the trap. Selden didn't know the annoyance in Jason's heart. He smiled and said very happily, Mr. Jason is a genius. But these are just little tricks, not worth mentioning. Jason looked at Selden, who was smiling in front of him. I have the urge to explode him. He fell for all the little tricks. Doesn't it seem that his IQ is very low? Chapter 74. There was one thing Jason didn't expect. This AIM is indeed a villain organization. No taboos. After stealing his technology, he shamelessly recruited him. He even planned to brainwash him. Mr. Jason, a genius like you shouldn't be buried like this. As long as you join us at AIM, you can quickly gain power. If we rule the world in the future, you will definitely have a seat. Hearing this, Jason's mouth twitched. Rule the world. Is your organization still awake? Jason can only be described as ignorant and fearless. Not to mention S.H.I.E.L.D. and various state violence agencies. Even the group of magicians under the Ancient One are not something ordinary organizations can afford to offend. Want to rule the world. Overthinking. Is this kid probably brainwashed? Mr. Jason, I know you don't believe in our lofty, 143, ideal. But as long as you join our organization, after seeing our strength, I finally believe it. Jason looked at Selden, who looked serious. I was immediately speechless. This is hopeless. I have been completely brainwashed. What happens if I don't join your organization? Jason asked in a hoarse voice. Oh, Mr. Jason, I'm afraid you don't want to suffer that outcome. There was once someone as determined as you. But they all eventually became one of us. I really don't want a genius like you to be treated like that. Selden said this from the bottom of his heart, as if he was doing it for Jason's benefit. Jason understood. This AIM is probably no ordinary organization. I'm afraid there is some kind of hypnotic ability or brainwashing technology. Otherwise, Selden would not have spoken so confidently. Jason thought for a moment, then spoke. Okay then, I'll join you. Real? Selden asked in surprise. Definitely, I don't want to suffer. Jason said helplessly. Besides, we don't have any conflicts, right? Selden also spoke after hearing this. Yes, Mr. Jason, we have no conflict. We all want a better future for humanity, right? Jason cursed inwardly when he heard this. Just talk nonsense. Just now he said he wanted to rule the world. However, he still pretended to be conceited. That's right. Selden, now that I have joined you, can you cancel the strong magnetic restraints? This kind of pressure is uncomfortable. Jason complained. Definitely, Mr. Jason. It's just that you need to take off the armor first. Selden said with a gentle smile on his face. Okay then, hurry up. Jason's tone seemed very helpless. Like a young master who can't stand the abuse. Mr. Jason, I remind you not to make any small moves. Otherwise, it won't be us who get hurt. Selden breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Jason agree. Although the centipede warrior is powerful. But it can't fly. If Jason ran away, he wouldn't have anywhere to cry. Jason certainly had no intention of running away. Mr. Selden, you are overthinking. I know the strength of centipede warrior better than you. I won't do anything irrational. This is best. Selden was noncommittal. Then call a centipede warrior to help Jason take off his armor. There was no disturbance in the process, and Jason didn't make any small moves. Selden saw the suit peeling off Jason. Then he breathed a sigh of relief. His tone also became sincere. In his opinion, Jason has a desire to cooperate. Besides, in his opinion, Jason had no essential conflict with them. Destroying their base was just because of the naughty child's temper. No matter how talented he is just a child. What a lie. Mr. Jason, the changes in you are incredible. Selden sighed when he saw Jason, who was 1.8 meters tall. Use your words. Jason rolled his eyes at him. That guy Tony Stark always said I was short. Who is shorter now? Selden heard this. The corners of his mouth twitched secretly. He is indeed a naughty kid. In order to fight for the spirit, the body can be transformed. He is a ruthless person. However, he still complimented against his will. Mr. Jason is naturally a genius. How can Tony Stark compare with you? That's natural, Jason admitted without hesitation, making Selden groan in his heart. Mr. Jason, it's getting late. Let's go to our aim first. My boss has been admiring you for a long time. Selden licked his face and said. There's no rush yet. Jason said nonchalantly. Mr. Jason wants to regret it. Selden asked with a fierce light flashing in his eyes. Definitely not yet. Jason waved his hand. If a genius like me joins your organization, isn't there any preferential treatment? If that's the case, why should I do things for you? It turns out it's about benefits. Selden felt relieved. Mr. Jason, don't worry, there will definitely be great benefits to joining our aim. When you join our organization, you can't help but get rich resources and see some high-tech technologies. And being able to have a huge amount of labs. Even we can become your subordinates. Selden explained slowly. As a result, Jason pressed his nose and said. This treatment is not very good. Is it okay if we have some from Wayne Group in the laboratory? Selden choked suddenly. AIM is indeed a big company with a big business. It may surpass Wayne Group in terms of strength. But like Jason's own laboratory, they really don't have many. Let Jason be the heir to the Wayne Group. Just having money. This, definitely, as long as you make enough contributions, you can have a better laboratory. Selden said bravely. Jason licked his nose disdainfully again. Then the treatment from your organization isn't that good. We also have a lot of new technologies. Selden said hurriedly. Is it as powerful as the one I developed myself? I developed the steel armor and improved the centipede warrior. Do you have better technology? Selden choked again. Damn it. A naughty kid or something. So annoying. 4.8. This, definitely, we have other technologies as well. Selden said somewhat vaguely. Jason saw his look and sun-mouthed. If this aim wasn't well hidden, they would have killed it long ago. You don't have anything and you're still trying to trick others into joining. Then your aim must have something worthy of my participation, right? Jason asked. Selden said hurriedly upon hearing this. Definitely, Mr. Jason. We at AIM are a large multinational organization with very strong capital. There are branch bases of our organization throughout the Americas. Many big companies have our shares. As long as you join, you will definitely get great rights. After speaking, Selden looked at Jason eagerly. That posture. Not like a villain. On the contrary, it's a bit pitiful. Chapter 75. Maybe Selden really thought Jason was going to join AIM. Told Jason a lot of information. AIM is ostensibly a weapons research company. Actually a huge amount of multinational organization. Across America, all have AIM bases. The financial strength is also very strong, and we have a deep network of relationships in various aspects. Only, Selden was vague about the origin of these things. When Jason heard this, he was shocked at first. Then came the deep doubts. What does Nick Fury, the spy chief, do for a living? Can such a large organization be invisible under his nose? When I went out to destroy AIM some time ago, it was just a small fuss. Stopped after destroying a few secret bases. There was no intention of pursuing it further. Jason once suspected that Nick Fury had been switched. Wrong. It's impossible for Nick Fury to be traded, but that's not necessarily the case for others. An idea suddenly appeared in Jason's mind. S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer just S.H.I.E.L.D. Hidden in the shadow of S.H.I.E.L.D. is an organization with a longer history. Hydra. Even the deputy director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Company 25 is from Hydra. If AIM and Hydra were involved, it might be hidden. The more Jason thought about it, the more he felt that this guess was very possible. His guess was very well founded. Within an area. Capital is limited after all. On the same road, there are large transnational organizations such as SHIELD, Hydra, and AIM. Is it possible? Don't forget, inside this area, there are other organizations with larger file sizes and smaller ones. The resources of the Americas simply cannot support the development of these organizations. Then the answer is obvious. Some of these organizations are definitely related. The independence between organizations coupled with Hydra is very strong. Various organizations are united under various smugglers. It is possible. It's very simple to verify this. Looking at the expectant Selden in front of him, Jason said quietly, "Hail Hydra." Hearing this, Selden's face was filled with shock. Looking at Jason in disbelief. "Hail Hydra. Mr. Jason, you too?" Selden asked hastily. Jason nodded calmly. "Whose men are you, Pierce or Whitehall?" "Probably not a baron." Jason seemed to be talking to himself, but all the sounds reached Selden's ears. Selden was very shocked when he heard this. He is considered a minor leader among AIM. But I don't know much about Hydra. All I know is that the AIM he works for is a branch of Hydra. Their leader is Whitehall, the veteran of Hydra. He didn't know the names of the other Hydra leaders. Now listen to Jason say this. He was suddenly shocked. I think Jason might be Hydra's big shot. Jason looked at Selden, whose face was full of shock. Smirking inwardly. Modern Selden is just like the original SHIELD bald agent Sidwell when he heard Captain America lied to him. Completely unbelievable. Then he was directly cheated out of the infinite gems in his hand. Selden now also looked confused. Mr. Jason, how is that possible? How is it impossible? Our Wayne family is a very old family. Jason gave Selden a meaningful look. Selden suddenly had a lot of thoughts. What ancient times Hydra was founded on? I heard that many Hydra families are hiding in the shadows. See one head, grow two heads and so on. Selden immediately thought of the Wayne family as one of the oldest families in Hydra. The expression on his face immediately became respectful. Although Hydra does not belong to each other. But there is still communication between the leaders. He couldn't afford to offend a secretive smuggler. Mr. Jason, it turns out we are all in the same group. 17. I was disrespectful in the past, please forgive me. Jason waved his hand indifferently. Ignorance is not guilty. Since you don't know my identity, it is not an offense. It's just that you can tell me something more in depth now. Jason glanced meaningfully at Selden again, pretending to be some kind of Hydra big shot. Mr. Jason, it's not that I don't want to say it. But I really don't know anything anymore. Selden had a wry smile on his face. As he said that, he wiped his cold sweat. I am just a small character, I have never met Mr. Whitehall. Jason's eyes narrowed and he stared at Selden, his eyes full of oppression. Selden was so frightened that he almost knelt down. Mr. Jason, you also know that our Hydra system is strict. I really don't know anything anymore. Selden said hurriedly. That's a shame. Jason sighed and said, what's the pity? Selden asked with some confusion. It's a pity that you are of no use anymore. After Jason finished speaking, the expression on his face suddenly became very ferocious. Then he punched out. Selden would never have thought of that. Jason, who was very friendly just now, was completely unprepared. That circle hit Selden directly. Hundreds of tons of force, punched out at a speed exceeding factors. Selden, the transformed centipede warrior. It's like a plastic bag filled with water. Didn't even have time to react. It was blown up directly. Red plasma was everywhere. The ground within a few meters was covered in blood. Jason looked like he was dyed red by fuel. The whole person is red. 963 looks like a devil. At this time, the surrounding AIM members reacted. Several centipede warriors pounced directly on him. The special team members behind them opened fire directly with the firearms in their hands. But the ruthlessness in the hands of these special team members is sophisticated. The caliber is very small. Not even the AK-47 in the hands of gangsters. In front of this total monster like Jason, it has no effect at all. The bullet just penetrated the skin. It was clamped by extremely powerful muscles. He was squeezed out directly. Then the wound healed quickly. At this time, several centipede warriors also rushed up. Every warrior who has been transformed. The power can even approach Captain America. Lifting a car is very easy. Blessed by powerful force. Centipede warriors are also very fast. The fist hit Jason directly. If you are an ordinary person, with these few punches, I'm afraid all the bones in his body will be broken. Become a bag wrapped in blood. Only, in front of a monster like Jason who has been strengthened by gamma strengthening medicine. It's almost like scratching an itch. Jason didn't even move. A sinister smile appeared on Jason's face. It's my turn. The sound of sonic boom suddenly sounded. Jason's fist sent ripples through the air. Hit a centipede warrior. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.